Hi friends, and welcome back to playing tribute to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles 2, Resolve, where last time I had a little bit of fun with the ending of the episode. We are going to see the masked man in court today. I believe they said that, Baroque Van Zieks said that he was going to be with him in court, so we'll see what happens there. Also, I was having fun with the name that we were given, and I figured it's dramatic irony. If you guys don't remember it, I should probably remind you. We were given the name Miss Shin was the name of the woman that died in Susato's case. We heard the name A Shin on that Morse code situation. So we had A Shin, Jay Watson, sorry, not Watson, Wilson. These aren't the real names. And then we had Kay Asogi and Gregson T. Gregson were the names. And now those names are important to us in different ways. So it's interesting the things we're seeing there. So they're definitely going to bring it up later. Don't worry. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware so that we could all have the dramatic irony together where the audience knows even though the characters don't necessarily remember. 'Cause for them it's been, 6 months? Good morning to you, Mr. Naruto. Good morning, Professor. Ready for today's proceedings? I hope so. I should be. Even I, with nothing left to... Good morning, my dear fellows. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you're here. Why, naturally. A true gentleman stands shoulder to shoulder with his friends in battle at all times. What happened to sleeping in? Thank you, I really appreciate it. I'll see you later then. Now, Professor, we really need to remain calm in the courtroom today. Yes, do try your hardest not to enter the witness stand uninvited again. Yes, I will. I realize it was a mistake, but my dear fellows, I must interject. We're ignoring him. Oh, you're still here, Mr. Sholmes. What's the matter? Surely you've overlooked some praise, have you not? To be cast in my direction? Sorry, I don't follow. You weren't praised for waking up on time? Must I spell it out? I, the great Herlock Sholmes, the greatest detective of worldwide acclamation, arose at some ungodly hour to be here now. First thing in the morning. A miracle, you must agree. Yep. Well, if I must agree, then... As you know, my sleep is quite impregnable. Iris had to employ her full gamut of tactics. She pulled the covers off, shook me, poked both cheeks, punched me, and kicked me from the bed. Then she poured boiling cup of her latest experimental blend in my face, and at last I was bestirred. Oh my, Iris has been busy. Iris doesn't have it in her to go that far. She's too nice. Ah, I sense the spirit of a fellow scientist, one who relishes the infinite possibilities of blending tea. I'm the one worthy of praise here, not Iris. This is my victory. Sorry to cut in. Who's this now? Oh, hey, Gregson. What's up? Oh, Inspector Gregson. Good morning. Gregson, my dear fellow. Why the grim expression at this delightfully early hour? I don't know. Maybe because I've been confronted with a grimmer expression, eh? Dear me. Are you going to take that insult lying down, Professor? What? I don't know! Poor Professor. Anyway, here's paperwork he asked for. What paperwork? Did I ask for paperwork? I took the liberty of requesting it yesterday. I have a feeling it may prove useful. I wouldn't believe the hoops I had to jump through to get this brought out of the archives. It's the professor's autopsy report. That mass murderers? Who killed 5 members of the aristocracy? Guess was found guilty in a closed trial 10 years ago now. It was all done under wraps. And he was quickly executed soon after the trial. It's all in here. Why do we need that? I don't know what to say. Thank you, Inspector. Why do we need that? Oh, we have Courtney Stevens there. That might be the maiden name of Courtney Scythe. Is that it? How is this important? I don't remember this case. I remember, let me be clear, I remember the professor. I don't remember him being important in this case. Because you know how whenever we went to the Waxwork Museum, I was like, oh, I remember this place. I know what we're about to do. Anyway. Yes, much obliged, Grayson. This lowly lot at the yard are just doing what we can. In the shadow of the great Detective Sholmes, of course. Well then, Professor Harebrained, this is it. Today we're going to lay all this to rest at last. I wish you the best of luck, Professor. I suppose he'll be there today. Will he? He'll be in there today, will he? Drebber. Yes, we expect the prosecution to summon him as a witness. I'm still amazed that you managed to find him in just one day. I really owe you both so much. Counsel and the defendant. The trial is about to resume. Kindly make your way into the courtroom at once. This is it then. The final chapter. Funny, my heart's racing a little. I've not felt this before, actually. This strange foreboding. As if something's going to happen in this trial that I'm not ready for. But I can't let that distract me from the only thing that really matters. Finding the truth. It's great how the characters have the sense to tell the audience, like, oh hey, something's going to happen. But in the meantime, just play. But something's happening. Even though in reality, I don't think that people have that kind of sense, the sixth sense to sense things like that. Like, why are you sensing this, buddy? How do you know that something's going to happen here? Maybe it's the Masked Man. I think it's the Masked Man. And knowing the Masked Man's gonna be there. So there's, like, reasonable reasons for the foreboding. I don't know. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I will resume the public hearing of Albert Harebrained, here present, who stands accused of murder. The counsels for the prosecution and defense ready to proceed. The prosecution is ready, my lord. The defense is ready, my lord. As promised, Lord Van Zieks has his apprentice with him. His apprentice with memory loss. We're just gonna stare holes into that mask. If I may, Lord Van Zieks. Yes, my lord. There appears to be someone standing at your side. I was my apprentice and assistant. The prosecution believes today's proceedings will see the complexity of this case rise considerably. I therefore instructed my assistant to attempt to ensure the smooth running of the trial. And the smooth running of liquid refreshments, by the look of it. And his way with the blade. Sorry, let me read hers first. The way he holds himself, the way he moves. It couldn't be anyone else. But he's still suffering from amnesia, so there's really nothing we can do at the moment. I know, but it's so very hard. It would appear the prosecution has done a fine job in responding to the demands of the court that the court made yesterday. I understand that you have successfully secured the engineer who disappeared from the scene the day in question. Yes, thanks to me. You're welcome. intend to call him as a witness shortly. Very good, very good. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you've been chosen at random to represent the will of the people in this courtroom today. Are you ready and willing to proceed? Of course, my lord. I'm sure we all understand the importance of doing our civic duty. I do so despise deception and deceit. I find it so very wearing. To take a man's life with a conjuring trick, it is against the magician's code, not to mention the law. Any fake scientist should feel the wrath of God, if you ask me. Sorry about that pause there, guys. I was killing a bug. We had to listen to what's said on both sides of the fence and settle on one. That's it, isn't it? That's what you said last time, girl. It wasn't like this in my day. It wasn't like this at all. The jury, or the way that the court is going, or what? If all parties are ready to proceed, you may begin, Lord Van Zieks. Before I do, my lord, there's a report I must read to the court. Yesterday, at the Great Exhibition Grounds, the evidence of primary importance in this case, the super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine, which was installed in the experimentation stage, was deliberately destroyed in an explosion effected by an unknown person or persons. Unknown? Come on now. We all know who did it. It was what? An explosion? This is an outrage. Yes, I heard this grave news yesterday. Scotland Yard submitted a report to my office in the evening. I've read the machine was blasted to smithereens and the wreckage reduced to ashes in the flames. I have here a photograph print of the scene taken in the wake of the explosion. Anything. Well, we can see that does open. Does go downward. Shows what the remains of the machine. Yes, a terrible business. He did it to destroy the evidence, did he? And that Enoch Drebber. The court will take this print as evidence, counsel. Photographic print of the experimentation stage after it was completely leveled by a time bomb. The metal floor of the stage has been blown open by the explosion. Have we looked down there? Late yesterday afternoon, protection afforded the machine by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act was revoked. However, before thorough investigation could begin, the invention was obliterated from existence. As such, this will become a very different trial. As it stands now, with no evidence on which to draw meaningful conclusions, the authenticity of the kinesis machine will remain forever in obscurity. Indeed, a most unfortunate state of affairs. However, one thing remains clear. The victim's death was the result of the actions of the accused. Of that we can be certain. For it was the accused himself who was operating the machine and who ultimately caused its loss of control. Objection! As Lord Van Zieks rightly says, this is a very different trial now. The accused accepts responsibility for his part in the events that transpired. He acknowledges that Mr. Ismond died as a result of the accident caused by his machine's malfunction. However, unbeknownst to the professor, he was being deliberately deceived by a pair of very clever fraudsters. Names, counsel, if you please. The engineer, Mr. Enoch Drebber, and the victim himself, Mr. Odious Min. So what exactly were these two men up to behind the defendant's back? The defense intends to expose that information, thus establishing the unequivocal innocence of the defendant. Thank you, counsels. The positions of the prosecution and defense have been clearly stated. Lord Van Zieks, summon your first witness, please. At once, my lord. The prosecution calls the engineer, Mr. Enoch Drebber, to the stand. Well, hello there. State your name and occupation for the court. Name, Enoch Trevor. Occupation. Hard to put down, I would say. See that black monocle? Yes, why do I feel as though I've seen it somewhere before? Oh, you too? I had exactly the same feeling myself. Your file indicates that you are currently being investigated in connection with another case. The theft of a waxwork model, is it? A most extraordinary sounding business. But that has no bearing on this trial, I assure you. Leave it from your mind. Yeah, right, buddy. Familiar with the public experiment carried out at the Great Exhibition some days ago. The accused super high voltage instantaneous kinesis demonstration. Yes, you could say that. I am aware of it. There was a terrible accident, wasn't there? Trying to remember what his voice was. It was you, Mr. Trevor, who constructed the vast machine used in the experiment. Or so our investigations indicate. Can you confirm your involvement? Yes, I constructed it in precise accordance with blueprints, but that's all. And the court would be very interested to hear your thoughts about the machine, I'm sure. An amazing device, if you ask me. The pinnacle of modern science, making instantaneous kinesis a reality at last. What? Good gracious, do you mean to say that the experiment was a bona fide? Is that your belief, sir? Yes, that is very much my belief. Such a waste that it blew up.
Objection!
But we've already established the machine was nothing more than a prop for an elaborate conjuring trick.
Objection!
We've established nothing of the sort. All that was shown during yesterday's proceedings. The same outcome could have been produced by means of stage trickery. Defense merely proposed a method and demonstrated its feasibility, nothing more. But... Procrastinated long enough, I feel. Witness, you will now give your formal testimony about the machine that you constructed for the purpose of the demonstration at the Great Exhibition. Understood. I think I got his voice back. I met the young professor approximately 1 year ago through Mr. Isman's introduction. He provided me with blueprints, and I constructed the machine to its precise specifications. It was no trick. If the whole show was a fraud, it would have required a body double. Tell me, did the victim have a twin? All the spectators saw the birdcage appear above their heads and then crash headfirst into the Crystal Tower. A terrible accident, I grant you. Perhaps the science on which the machine was built was flawed somehow. A body double. That goes without saying, surely. To give the impression that something has moved when in reality it hasn't. It's basic conjuring principle. The deception cannot be achieved without substituting the original with a fake at some point in the performance. What evidence do I have right now? Okay. Would I be right in saying you haven't managed to establish anything along those lines? Not yet. Incidentally, the prosecution has already confirmed that Mr. Isman has no twin siblings. It's my understanding that this witness is well versed in conjuring artfulness. But such talents do not indicate that he was actually able to accomplish what he claims. Namely, the construction of what, by all accounts, must have been an extremely complex scientific machine. Whatever do you mean? Yesterday's proceedings brought the true nature of your past exploits to light, Mr. Trevor. Indeed they did, my lord. As a swindler who preys on innocent scientists to elicit government grant money through conjuring know-how. Yes, it's true. true that I possess considerable knowledge of stage magic. But crucially, my scientific knowledge more than matches that of any academic in the field. Investigation of the witness's workshop attests to that claim, my lord. As evidence, the police found this Royal Society trophy for young talent and science there. Yes, that's true. We spotted it there ourselves. Don't I have that? Yeah. If my hypothesis is sound, it can always be forged into a physical manifestation with sufficient skill. Although I may have sold the secrets to some deceptive wilds, sniveling talentless scientists in the past. Would you therefore assert that the explosion of the machine was an unfortunate accident, or, of course, a deliberate act of murder carried out by misuse of the science? Counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, please. Yes, my lord. Okay. Press everything is always a good thing to do. So you are already acquainted with Mr. Esmond himself? Not really. By chance I'd seen his name mentioned in the papers, that's all. But I had no interest in his private affairs. He was an unscrupulous investor. It was of no concern of mine. As long as people pay their bills, I take up my tools and construct what they ask for. So why did Mr. Esmond approach you in particular, then? Who can say? I presume he said, because my name is associated with excellence in engineering. Not to mention excellence in fraud. Hard to gauge, but the point is all I did was construct the machine according to the blueprints I was given. In other words, the Kinesis machine was built on solid scientific principles. Yes, you might say that. Professor Harebrained certainly has a mind like no other.
Hold it!
It's clear that you have both scientific knowledge and knowledge of conjuring magic, however. The more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to handle whatever comes along. But your implication is that I furnished the machine with some trickery, I think. It's a possibility that we have to explore. Unfortunately, the machine has been blown to Kingdom Come. So there's really nothing left to explore, is there? It appears that the Kinesis machine was fitted with a timed explosive device of some kind. And there's nothing left of the device either. Not a single shred of evidence remaining, I hear. You must have planned all this from the outset. But in any case, it's abundantly clear that the experiment couldn't have been a trick.
Hold it!
This is the main line that we need to press. Of course, that's it. Mr. Esmond was a twin.
Objection!
Of course, that's it. Mr. Esmond was a twin. Perhaps my letter from Mr. Esmond had no twin siblings. No, I heard you before. But the thread of hope hadn't quite left me. The demonstration could have been a trick if there was somebody who looked sufficiently like the victim. But Dr. Seth absolutely ruled that out as a possibility. It is beyond question that the victim himself, Mr. Esmond, did move from the stage to the Crystal Tower. The fingerprints found at the scene attest to that fact. So it can't have been orchestrated using someone who looked identical to Mr. Esmond then. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruto? No, nothing. Just that the idea of someone who looked identical to the victim is playing on my mind. Okay, so here's the thing. We found this in the waxwork, and it matches the stuff we saw here. So the waxwork had to be the body double, right? So it does have to be in this case. But he didn't exactly look like him. I mean, he has this thing on his head.
Hold it!
It crashed headfirst, you say? According to many witness reports from those there at the time, yes. Were you not there at the exhibition grounds on the day? Unlikely. I rarely leave my workshop. Yet another of your unique inventions was found at the scene. Well, it was the unveiling of a machine I'd labored over for many months. I saw clearly with my eyes the bird cage plummeting head first into the tower. Interesting how you changed your story there. What a surprise. I believe the victim's neck was broken from the headlong fall, wasn't it? How would you have come by that information? Everyone for a recluse like me reads newspapers, you know. According to the reports, 2 injuries were apparent in the victim's body. Yes, he'd been stabbed in the chest by a screwdriver believed to belong to the defendant. And he had broken vertebrae as a result from the fall of considerable height. Correct. My own friend has been doing his research, it seems. Do we know which injury was the fatal one? Sadly not. Forensic science is not yet at the level where such things can be determined. What we do know is the victim died, having sustained both injuries at some point during the experiment, and since he was found in the bird cage with his neck broken. It's obvious that he fell from a considerable height. I suppose that's hard to deny.
Hold it!
So you understood the science, did you? Not in the slightest. Right. As I've said a number of times, I'm an engineer. My job is to manufacture according to the blueprints I'm given. I would be inviting manifold problems if I foolishly allowed my brain to digest the ideas behind them. I could not be accused of stealing those ideas. Or I could be accused of stealing those ideas, for example. But how is it possible to construct a machine without really understanding the principles it relies on? Well, you're practicing law without really understanding the principles it relies on, aren't you? A very good point. Stand up for yourself, Mr. Naruhodo. The point is, the experiment resulted in instantaneous kinesis taking place. As such, the science must be sound. Yes, and really, experimental results are all that matters when it comes to proving a hypothesis. He's certainly very sure of himself. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, now that the machine has been completely destroyed by yesterday's explosion, it's going to be impossible to argue its authenticity one way or another. But if we're unable to establish that it was a piece of stage trickery rather than genuine science, we have no grounds on which to demonstrate Professor Harebrain's innocence. Both Mr. Osman and the man in the stand tricked the professor and used him. They took advantage of his naivete and his unbending belief in his work, and I won't let them get away with it. And seeing as the professor is an old friend of Lord Van Zeek's, what on earth must he be feeling towards Arbor? Okay. I guess we're gonna present it then. Because I can't imagine.
Objection!
Nope. That's not it. Okay. That's not helpful at all. Oh. Did I not explore this yet? What a wonderful machine. Really love contraptions like this, don't you? Oh yes, anything mechanical I find absolutely irresistible. Almost irresistible, surely. Well, whenever I see a pocket watch, for example, I can't help myself. I simply have to take it apart. What's that red stain there? That's worrying. His father tells the time by the rumblings of his stomach now. He's given up having a watch. Poor Professor Mikotoba. Okay, seriously though. Look, Mr. Naruto. What is it? On the bellows just here, it seems to be some very dark red stains. Yes, you're right. Looks like blood, actually. Oh my. I'm sure it's not what you're thinking. Okay. I don't know what that's gonna do for me now, but let me see if I can see a picture. Can I see that picture? Oh look, the cover came open. Yes, now there should be a glass plate inside. Change the plate with each new photograph you want to take. Something wrong? There's no plate. It's been removed. Ah, what a pity. I suppose if you think about it, this wouldn't be the actual camera that was used at the time, just like the waxwork isn't the actual person. So we'd never have found a photographic print of the executed convict coming back to life anyway. Oh, yes, you're quite right, of course. Of course, she's Ato-san. She looks devastated. That's right, because whenever I was exploring all that stuff... I was in the middle of... things. I couldn't get any information from this except that it had been damaged. Oh, wait a second! Hold on. Didn't they say head first? It was damaged at the bottom. It was damaged at the bottom.
Objection!
Alright, sorry. Let me, not jump ahead of the thing here. I mean, I'm pretty certain that the waxwork had to be the body double, though. At this point. But why... He was moving. And the fingerprints. Which means somebody had to have approached the Crystal Tower after the fact. But everybody keeps saying that nobody did. We've examined the bird cage that crashed into the Crystal Tower ourselves. As you can see, the cage, which is of wooden construction, has sustained damage in one particular spot. Following the explosion, it fell some 30 feet into the glass of the Crystal Tower. That level of damage is to be expected, surely. I agree. The damage itself is entirely understandable. What doesn't make sense is the location of that damage. All the breakages in the wood are at the base of the birdcage, not the top. What are you saying? That's the opposite of where they should be. That's right, my lord. The birdcage that was at the scene is damaged at its base. So we have reports of the birdcage falling headlong into the Crystal Tower, yet the damage is at the bottom. The only way to reconcile these two facts is to accept that there were two bird cages in play that day, which were at some point switched. Switched during what wasn't a scientific experiment at all, but an elaborate piece of stage trickery. Yeah. Wait, why was part of that highlighted red? That was weird. Good gracious, explain yourself, Witness. Well. Why does it keep highlighting red? If we examine the facts, there's only one logical conclusion we can draw. The damage on the base of the birdcage clearly indicates that the crash deal first into the tower.
Objection!
But multiple witness reports claim it fell head first. The birdcage materialized in the sky next to a balloon flying over the stage following a spontaneous explosion at an altitude of some 60 feet above ground level, which is approximately 18 meters. It then proceeded to fall from 30 feet into the Crystal Tower in the ensuing deflagration. Police reports amid such chaos are notoriously unreliable.
Objection!
But the victim's neck was broken.
Objection!
plummeted 30 feet inside a heavy wooden cage. However he fell, it would be unsurprising to find one or two of his vertebrae crushed. A riveting scientific analysis of events from the prosecution there. Though, to be even more rigorous, you would have to say it was only one vertebra, actually. He wasn't quiet for long. I find it hard to see what's motivating Lord Van Zeeks. This witness is clearly a swindler and one who deceived a personal friend of his. If you're going to establish this deception, do it right. Sorry? I feel like that's the undertone here. Ah, yes. And there's one more point. The defense appears to have forgotten. It obviously wasn't a trick, as certain truth very plainly demonstrates. What? It seems to me that the cross-examination had better continue until we resolve this matter. Mr. Tripper, you will amend your testimony with details of this truth. Of course, we must treat the matter scientifically, after all. Yeah, I nearly had him there. The kinesis clearly is replaced because there's nowhere else 30 feet high for the cage to have fallen from. Actually, I don't know how to present this, but I'm pretty sure I know where the cage actually fell. Let's press it.
Hold it!
What do you mean? Well, before the demonstration began, the victim was alive on stage in front of the audience. Yes, there are lots of witnesses who saw Mr. Isman on the experimentation stage, that's true. And the victim's neck, as a result of an impact following the fall. Logically, therefore, the victim must have fallen from somewhere. The balloon that exploded was at an altitude of 60 feet. The point of impact in the tower was 30 feet up. The difference 30 feet is therefore the total distance the birdcage fell. And there's no other location from which the cage could have fallen at a distance it didn't drop out of the sky. Ergo, the victim himself must have been beamed from the stage into the sky above the crystal tower. Trenchant scientific analysis. Dear me, every time I hear it explained, it sounds increasingly plausible. Oh yes, it's all very well thought out. Certainly all the spectators in the day saw it. The birdcage plummeting 30 feet through the air, I mean. Irritatingly, yes. Okay, I'll present it then. Okay, the question is... Let me look at this first. The question is, what do I present? That shows it... And that shows it. So the cage went down there.
Objection!
It's not that one. It's the diagram.
Objection!
There we go. Okay. It's just a matter of what to show. It's like I know what I'm arguing. It's just a matter of what to show. This is a diagram of the experimentation stage and its surroundings. He's like, okay, so we know that somehow the birdcage appeared in midair before falling down in the crystal tower. A fall of about 30 feet or 9 meters. However, if you examine the diagram carefully, you'll see that there's another possible location from which the birdcage could have fallen. The same distance of 30 feet. No. Again, he's not amused. Well, it appears the defense is a possible explanation to put forward. Go ahead, counsel. Yes, my lord. Of course. You will indicate the place to which you are referring on the same diagram. The alternative location from which the birdcage could have possibly fallen, the requisite 30 feet. From which? From here on the stage.
Take that!
The place I'm referring to is here. But that's where the birdcage would have been to begin with. Which is exactly the point, my lord. Yes, the birdcage was in the machine on the stage. But what we must also consider is the height of the stage itself. Go on, Counsel. It turns out the experimentation stage was built at a considerable height above ground level. If you look at the diagram, in fact, you'll see it's about the same height above the ground as the balloon was above the crash site. When the experiment got underway, the machine and the birdcage were engulfed in steam. At that moment, the floor of the stage gave way, and if we assume there would be a void underneath, this birdcage and the one seen by the audience would have fallen almost exactly the same distance. Once again, my lord, this all points to the fact that there was not one birdcage, but two.
Objection!
My learned friend has no evidence that the stage has such contrivance in its design. Someone is responsible for the criminal destruction of the Kinesis machine itself, it's true. However, the stage still stands. And take a moment to look at the photographic print of the scene following yesterday's explosion. Good lord, the metal grill that formed the floor of the machine is undone. Yes, most likely blown open by the force of the explosion that destroyed the rest of the machine. The defense calls for the space below the stage to be investigated immediately. See, that's what I was saying before. Did anyone go down there? Clearly not. Mr. Drever? It was you who built the Kinesis machine, which means that it was you who built the two bird cages that were used to carry out this deception. Whether Professor Hairbrains thought this is sound or not makes no difference, because it's the construction of this machine that matters. A machine designed to take Mr. Isman's life. And lay the blame firmly at the professor's door. Something that could only have been carried out by you, Mr. Enoch Drever.
Objection!
If my learned friend has reached the end of his wild assertions. It seems like a whole, ceremony to just crush it. The prosecution would like to crush the defense's argument slowly but surely. What? The argument fails to hold water. On 2 counts. 2. First thing. Before and after the experiment, the police went nowhere near the Kinesis machine. A relevant member of staff from the exhibition has tested that. And I believe members of Scotland Yard have also been on watch duty every public experiment. In other words, Mr. Trevor had no opportunity to switch the alleged pair of bird cages.
Objection!
But I've already explained why he wouldn't have needed to. The nonsense with the crossbow doesn't bolster your case at all. The man who disappeared from the stage and the man who crashed the tower are one and the same. The forensic investigation team's report is unequivocal on that point. And the second flaw in your assertion is a distinct lack of motive. Why would this man have wanted to take the victim's life? He had no reason to do so. Motive. Do I have to think of everything myself? There have been plenty of times where my clients have had no motive for killing people, so come on now. I have here a contract provided by the witness. What contract is this, Lord Francis? A contract into which Mr. Trevor entered with the victim Mr. Ismail. It reads, Mr. Trevor is to receive 30% of all remunerations from government grants or other income. 30%. Certainly very favorable contractual conditions. But there was one very important provision bolted into that clause. What provision? Mr. Trevor may only uphold this right in condition that both contracting parties are alive. In other words, if either of us were to die, the contract would be null and void. So you see, I had nothing to gain from Mr. Ismail's death. The diametric opposite, in fact. Need I say? Yes, had neither an opportunity nor a reason to commit the alleged crime. I mean, that makes sense for these both to be criminal people. Like, to say, hey, we know that you are a bad, like, we know each other are bad people. Oh no, sorry. My thing fell. We know each other are bad and will stoop to measures of killing each other. But if we both are alive to get the stuff, have that clause in there to make sure they're both alive. I mean, it makes sense for a bunch of criminals. In short, the possibility of Mr. Trevor having done as you suggest is nil. Seems the defense's assertion was somewhat wide of the mark. Lord Van Zieks, you will submit the contract as evidence, please? Yes, I would like to read over the finer details. Enters into contract with the provider, Mr. Enoch Trevor, found labor and materials for the construction of a super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. Mr. Trevor is to receive 30% of all remunerations from government grants and other income. Mr. Trevor may only uphold the rights on condition that both contracting parties are alive. Nice of them to have the signatures. I wonder if that's important. It's true. If Trevor had no opportunity to switch the birdcage on the stage with the one in the Crystal Tower, he couldn't have done it. And in any case, I have no idea what his motive might have been. There's one aspect of your argument that still holds true, however. There were 2 bird cages. The prosecution is unable to deny that. So I'm sure you're on the right lines, Mr. Naruto. And I've no doubt that there are other aspects of your assertion that are undeniable truths too. Well, it would seem that the defense has no rejoinder to offer. I must say, I'm a little surprised. I came here to testify about the machine I built, and it said my reputation is defiled. But the prosecution's counter has set the record straight, I think. It's impossible that I'm the culprit.
Objection!
At the beginning of this trial, we believed that there was only 1 birdcage, yet now we know there must have been 2. In other words, there was more to the demonstration than we realized at first. I think it's abundantly clear that the same applies to the culprit. Get to the point. The stage demonstration was constructed and set up in its entirety by you, Mr. Trevor. Therefore, it's inconceivable that you had no hand in the events that transpired. So if circumstances mean it's impossible that you have carried out the crime yourself, points to the fact that someone else was involved. Someone else? Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, my lord. Mr. Trevor had an accomplice.
Objection!
An accomplice? Well, I presume, prepared for what's to come. Do I have to name him? Now that you're accusing not only this witness, but someone else of the most serious of crimes. With both accusations turn out to be false. Make no mistake. The prosecution will demand an equally serious punishment for your slander. Well, counsel, do you intend to pursue this course and formally accuse another party of involvement in this matter? I don't know who I would accuse. It's nobody on this page. Surely she wasn't a part of it. Even though her waxwork was. What do I do here? At the moment, this is little more than a hunch on my part. I don't know for sure if Drebber had an accomplice, or even if he really is the culprit here. Oh, he's definitely the culprit. I mean, look at him. He's been laughing. You know they always laugh. One way or another, though, I have to make my position clear as a lawyer. So what's my stance going to be? Did Drebber have an accomplice, or not? I can't. I don't know. Unless he was the accomplice and didn't know he was going to be murdered or something. I got nothing, man. But, oh wait, for there to be a wax figure with the exact likeness, it would have had to be Tuspel's. The defense is ready to name Mr. Drebber's accomplice. Somehow the two bird cages must have been switched. Everything points to that. Yet according to the coroner's report, that's not a possibility. That inconsistency itself is a clue. Wait. The coroner. Counsel? My lord? You've received stark warning already. You are nevertheless determined. Then I must now ask you to identify this alleged accomplice by name. It's the coroner who said that it couldn't have happened? So your answer, please. Who do you claim to have been Mr. Drebber's accomplice? Oh.
Take that!
The name of the person in question is... What's wrong, my Nipponese friend? Surely fear doesn't blind your tongue now. It's a little late for that. Of course I'm afraid. After all, naming her in this capacity is definitely going to make waves. A lot of waves. I could very well turn every single person in this courtroom against me. I'm sure it'll be all right, Mr. Naruto. Thank you, Miss Susato. Enemy always appears larger than life, but you'll appear exactly the same to the enemy. Alright then, here goes. You've kept us waiting long enough. Your answer, counsel, now. Answer, counsel. The person who colluded with Mr. Drebber in order to carry out this wicked crime is Scotland Yard's coroner, Dr. Courtney Scythe. What in the blazes are you talking about, Dr. Scythe? The head of the forensic investigation team and the coroner who conducted the autopsy on the victim. We know there were 2 bird cages, so who could have carried out the switch to complete the illusion? The accident happened in front of a huge crowd of spectators, and the area was immediately sealed off. Then everyone, police officers included, were banished to make way for the forensic investigation team. When else could the switch have occurred? It can only have been in that team's presence. Oh, that is true. It's essential that the court determines exactly what happened following the incident. The defense demands that Dr. Scythe be summoned to the witness stand at once to testify. You've got nerve, lad. Standing up there, dragging the Yard's name through the mud. I didn't mean to. I know that woman very well. There's no better dead room worker out there. How dare you call her a criminal? My learned friend's imagination appears to be wilder than the East End at night. The recklessness of your accusation aside, there's another grave problem with your argument. One which the prosecution demands you address at once. A grave problem? Oh my word. Who do you claim acted as the victim's doppelganger? What? Certainly, if the bird-cage containing the body of the victim was exchanged for another, that cage must also have contained a body. And yet, no missing persons or accidental deaths of anyone even remotely resembling the victim have been reported. Which means there was no one dead or alive who could have fulfilled the role of body double for Mr. Isman. That's true. If my argument is that there were 2 bird cages, then there must have been 1 person inside each. But I don't know if I've got an answer to that yet, have I? I'd like you to reveal how the body double stunt was achieved. Present evidence. Very well. The defense will address my learned friend's concerns by presenting evidence that reveals the true nature of Mr. Isman's body double. Good gracious, evidence! I do hope this isn't filibustering, counsel. The court is expecting a name. If you think you've relevant evidence, present it now. The body double and the birdcage were hiding inside the balloon that was floating above the stage, which means that any witnesses would have only seen them from 60 feet away. So who was it that appeared out of the explosion some 18 meters above spectators? Aha. The body double inside the second birdcage was... I don't like how this is phrased.
Take that!
We know that the victim, Mr. Isman, was in the birdcage that was situated inside the kinesis machine on stage, and therefore he couldn't have been inside the second birdcage. Instead, that contained something else. What's been described as a body double, which is what fell from the sky and crashed into the crystal tower. Yes, counsel, according to your somewhat elaborate version of events. And that body double inside the second birdcage was, in fact... He's getting so scared for all of the stuff. It's alright, Mr. Naruto. You're ready for this. Just steel yourself, and come out with it. Thank you, Mr. Sato. I needed that. As I was saying, the body double inside the second birdcage was... as unbelievable as it may seem, that thing there. Wait, has that been in the courtroom the entire time?
Objection!
Open your eyes and look into mine, my Nipponese friend. Now tell me, what are you playing at? Stand firm now, Ryusuke. This is the time to show your Japanese spirit. As the court will observe, this is a waxwork model. A model, in fact, of an infamous London murderer from 10 years ago, the Professor.
Objection!
You started by indicting to indicting a waxworks. Yes, that's about the size of it. But why? But why this waxwork? There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, it could hardly resemble him less. What possible justification can you give? If you want to know why, ask Mr. Drebber. What? Just days before Professor Harebrained performed his public demonstration, Mr. Drebber abducted this model from Madame Tuspel's. Did you say abducted? And 2 days after the incident at the Great Exhibition, he returned it to the museum. Then the timing. Is this true, Mr. Drebber? At first, I couldn't see why Mr. Drebber would have stolen the waxwork and then give it back again. But now the reason is clear. He took it so that he could put it inside the second birdcage as a body double for Mr. Esmond. Ah.
Objection!
Are you hearing this, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Are you hearing the defense's astonishing proposal? That the witness fabricated this vast machine with the intention of deceiving some wretched scientist. That he did so in collusion with the country's finest coroner on a public stage in front of a vast audience. And that, to effect the deception, he used a waxwork model that in no way resembles the victim. Are we really to believe this far-fetched tale? What do you decide?
Objection!
Wait. Yes, if you put it like that, of course it sounds implausible. My lord, I need to speak, if you please. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Myself and my colleagues have reached an agreement. Very good. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings from the court to hear now.
Guilty!
Guilty! Guilty!
Guilty!
Guilty!
Kill me!
Oh, that was fast. So, as indicated by the foreman, the jury has reached a consensus. I knew that was going to happen. We shall get through this, Mr. Naruto, as we always do. And uncover some new truths along the way, I'm quite sure. Yes, I agree. I'm going to have to appeal to the jurors as usual and see if I can persuade them to change their minds. The defense will now embark on a summation examination. Are you two fellows ready to proceed, Mr. Foreman? We are, my lord. Very well. In that case, I ask you to now state clearly for all present to hear the grounds on which each of you have decided that the defendant is guilty of the crime in which he is charged. Oh, you're starting. Okay. I've known that woman for years. She'd never be an accomplice to anything. It's utter nonsense to think these two will ever be conniving with each other. Oh dear, this is most troubling. But surely the waxworks man stole has nothing to do with the coroner, is it? I have my own problems with members of the police. I don't trust them much. I've seen no rigorous proof that this waxwork was ever inside the birdcage. It's conjecture. Accusing someone without right evidence is no proper job, eh? I won't have it. Okay, well, I do have proof that the waxwork was around the Crystal Tower. Somewhat unsurprisingly, it seems the introduction of this waxwork model into the proceedings have polarized opinion. Given that its face is obscured and its build in no way resembles that of the victim, I can only applaud my learned friend's temerity at suggesting it as Mr. Esmond's body double. Yes, the applause is deafening. And yes, I know it seems extraordinary, but that's the point. That's why I have a strong feeling it's actually a greater clue than anyone yet realizes. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruto? I can't explain why at the moment, but I feel as though there's a specific reason why it was used, why it had to be this model. Really? A reason why nothing else would do, you mean? Yes. And I'm convinced it's something far more significant than whether or not a model looked like the victim. Well, if that's the case, we must prevent the trial from ending prematurely at all costs. Yes, agreed. We have to find a way out of this. If you are ready, Counsel, you may proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. Okay, I have evidence for it being at the Crystal Tower, and there was also something else that somebody said that I was like, well... Oh, like that the wax figure had nothing to do with the coroner, but she was the one who made the... She was the one who did the autopsy report for this person. So... I don't know whether that's important. Oh man, I'm at a loss, guys.
Hold it!
I'm just gonna press everyone, though. The order of things seems to have changed around here for some reason. I'm a copper, lad. It's copper's discretion to bend the rules sometimes when you needs must. What's wrong with that? That doesn't sound right. Where do I start? I've been working at the yard for 40-odd years. That's even more than I thought. I've only had a metropolitan police service in town for 70 years, you know. Of course, times have changed. The public didn't trust coppers back when I started. It was rough. We had to fight crime, and we had to fight to win the public's trust as well. And when we did, forensic science was in the infancy too, even more than it is now. Spearheaded the revolution. Dr. Scythe, you mean? Oh, did he say and she? That's right, about 10 years ago now, when I was still youngish Bobby on the beat. That's when she started making a name for herself as a top-class coroner. Now look at her, head of the forensic investigation team. A woman, no less. Well, you won't hear me complain. It's what we dreamt of back then, I tell you. Could you tell me without holding the gun in the air? We were all up to uphold justice, lad. Full of vim, we were, full of vim. That's coming across loud and clear. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to argue him down.
Hold it!
But we're only just starting to understand this case. What are you reading there, sir? The man behind those murders in Solar Pond Street was caught in 2 days flat. It's real policing for you. That's really not relevant to this case, is it? You're wrong there. Because it was Dr. Scythe in charge of examining the bodies. And it was evidence arising from her work that led to the arrest of the scoundrel responsible. Oh. That's right. Oh. The woman's at the forefront of this country's fight against crime. The idea that she's somehow involved in this murky business is a little tosh. I thought it was up to me to press the jurors, not the other way around.
Hold it!
Why would you assume that? Well, quite simply because that unsettling swindler has no relationship with the woman, does he? True, as it stands, we don't know of any connection. Oh gosh, but it would be delightfully romantic if they were to somehow have a mutual interest in the waxwork. Romantic. A woman of society such as myself views everything in terms of relationships, you know. Well, you learn something new every day. If you don't want to. One might wonder about a possible relationship between the defendant and his corner woman. Or perhaps between the defendant and the handsome prosecutor just here. This woman may be more astute than I've been giving her credit for. If that's the woman's stance, then perhaps demonstrating some connection between the waxwork and Dr. Scythe would be enough. Yes, I agree. As soon as we have a whiff of connection, she'll be the first to know.
Hold it!
What sort of problems? Let's just say we've run into each other on numerous occasions while I've been performing on the streets. Right, I see. Obviously, artists such as myself cannot appear on stage as we work in close proximity to our audiences, so we perform our great magic in parks, on street corners, and the like. But the police use any excuse to make our lives difficult. Oh. Someone's insulted.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say in response to that, Mr. Ottermole? Who are you calling a mass murderer? Sorry, my mistake. I got confused because I heard you look a lot like him. I don't look anything like the man. You wouldn't be locked up, Sonny. Thanks, Mr. Sholmes. Perhaps we could move on. I was really wondering if you had something you wanted to add in response to what juror number 3 just said. And clearly you do. Back in my day, back in the good old days, it wasn't like this. What was it like, sir? We worked our fingers to the bone to earn the public's trust we did. And by Jove, we earned it. People respected us back then. Respected you? No one would have called a coroner in question in them days. Coroner's report was the hallmark of the investigation done right. Especially when Dr. Courtney Stevens put her name to it. She was the best of the best. The apple of the... Hold on a minute. Okay, I think this is the... Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. I wanted to see what he said. Apple of the Force's eye. This is the point where I connect her to the body. What are you talking about? Who's Courtney Stevens? Ah, sorry. Got a bit carried away there. Stevens is Dr. Scythe's maiden name. Her maiden name, so that was before she was married. Of course, yes, silly me. It's Scythe now, isn't it? Stevens. I'm sure I've seen that name somewhere recently. Anyway, the point is, those were the great days of policing, not like now. Sorry to interrupt, sir. But do you think you could change your statement to include that name? Ah, yes, I can see it, right? Why not?
Hold it!
But you claimed the whole instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a trick. And I did. But there's more than one way to pull a rabbit out of a hat, isn't there? Sorry. I grant you, given that this cage appeared from the midst of an explosion, there have been no need to use a real person. But if the waxwork had been used, the culprit could at least have the decency to make it look like the victim. I'm not sure exactly how much criminals are governed by the decency. Point is, if you're going to make a claim about the waxwork being inside the birdcage, you need to give some evidence. Without that, it's just not science. I suppose we should expect nothing less than a logical argument from a fellow of the Royal Society. But that perhaps means his mind could be changed if we manage to present suitable evidence. Evidence that the Professor Waxwork was inside the birdcage? I have evidence. Actually, I have something I'd like you to see, sir. Oh. It's wordy that I firmly believe it's only wise to trust men with white coats. So given your jet black outfit, I don't mind admitting to a sense of trepidation here. So you don't trust anyone in black. Looking in a mirror must be very trying.
Take that!
Can I finally use this? Thank you. What's that? A piece of glass? It's unusually thick for glass. Yes, it's a piece of broken glass that we found inside the jacket on the waxwork. As you say, it's no ordinary glass, though. It's very thick and clearly made for extra strength, much like the special glass that was developed for the construction of the Crystal Tower. The crystals are... Holy smoke! Exactly. The centerpiece of the Great Exhibition, where the very incident we're talking about took place. On the day in question, the birdcage fell from above and smashed through a window of that special glass. From whence the small piece originated. Is that it? Precisely. So, what do you say? Now that clear evidence in support of the assertion has been placed before you. Well, as I said, I only trust men in white coats as a rule. However, when the reasoning is sound, it's fair to say color shouldn't come into it. In light of what you've shown me here, yes, I feel obliged to change my position on the matter. Case juror number 4. You will amend your statement now, please. Okay, but he's not saying innocent yet.
Hold it!
Thank you for reconsidering your position, sir. Your words are misplaced, boy. My opinion is governed by logic and science and nothing else. Yes, science is where you should direct your words of gratitude. What's the matter with you? Too good to say some words of thanks to the mother of all academic subjects? What is it about scientists? Honestly.
Hold it!
I've got to ask, why have you brought that corn into court with you? Colonel Cobb, a bit grown back on the farm, picked him off my way in town. He's a proper nibbler, he is. Yes, the nibbling seems to be taking quite a while. Maybe it could wait until after the trial. Oh, I don't like the sound of that. You need coroners all the times like these. At times like these. Whenever I'm something big to decide, colonels always pick me in the right direction, see? You're talking about your cob of corn. Nibble, nibble, guilty. Bobble, bobble, nibble, out, guilty. Out. Nibble, dot, got, nibble, got, nibble, dot, da. I don't even know. I got nothing for you, man. Perhaps it's akin to fortune-telling with flower petals, like people do back home? So Professor Harebrain's fate is to be decided by a cob of corn. Could you at least wait until we've had more time to find the truth before deciding on the defendant's guilt? I don't know about that. My tummy's awfully full already. Amazing. I know it seems a little far-fetched to think that the waxwork model of the professor was in that bird cage, but on the other hand, it explains a lot. There really is a reason that particular waxwork had to be used in Mr. Esmond's study. We must do everything we can to make the jurors understand it. Truth is, I'm sure that's the key to this, but the most puzzling part of it, too. In that case, you should see what additional information you can glean whilst trying to change the juror's mind. If you can read a book while eating a rice cracker, Mr. Naruto, I'm sure you can do this. Right, yes. Okay.
Objection!
We're going to start with this. These two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious. 2 statements do you refer, counsel? So, juror number 2. Oh gosh, me? What can I do for you? I presume that you heard what juror number 6 said in his statement. It's brought to light that maiden name of the coroner, Dr. Scythe, which in turn has revealed a connection that wasn't apparent before. Well, naturally, as a woman of society, I find such connections and relationships irresistible. But oh golly, I'm afraid I fail to see what you mean. Dr. Scythe's maiden name is Stevens, and through that name, the coroner is very definitely linked to the waxwork of the killer. The defense has evidence to prove it. My goodness, evidence, you say? Oh, how utterly enthralling. Counsel, the court cannot overlook that last remark. I very much hope that there is substance to your claim. Of course, my lord. I would ask the court to look at this. The evidence that clearly links Dr. Scythe to the mass murderer known as the Professor.
Take that!
I have here a certain autopsy report from 10 years ago. A 10-year-old autopsy report? What relevance does that have? It's, of course, from the autopsy of the person portrayed in the waxwork, the killer known as the Professor. The Professor's... But the man was a capital offender, so... That's right. This is the certification of death that was drawn up after the convict's execution. The identity of the killer was never made public, so the report gives few details. But what's important is the name of the coroner who wrote it. Courtney Stevens. Oh my! Courtney Stevens? Strike a light! It appears that the professor's autopsy was conducted by Dr. Scythe 10 years ago. And a few days ago, Mr. Drebber very deliberately stole the waxwork of the professor from Madame Tuspel's. A waxwork that doesn't in fact resemble the victim, Mr. Esmond, at all. And do you suppose there's some unsavory relationship between these events? Absolutely. I'm sure of it. There's no doubt in my mind that the professor case is at the heart of a link that we have yet to uncover. Between Dr. Courtney Scythe and Mr. Enoch Drebber. Hidden links, mysterious connections, secret relationships. This is all most extraordinary. We're surely obliged now to explore this further. Quite right. We can't let the trial come to an end now. Not while there's a cloud of suspicion hanging over Yard's best coroner. It wasn't like this in my day, but still he'll hold justice into the end. That was a lot of work. Please give me more than 2. Oh, darn. I mean, that's evidence. Let's see if he needs to say more. Please excuse us to make our lives up difficult. Sometimes they even cook up a story to extort monies from the poor. Well, that's definitely not right. Yes, and that's why I say that if you trust the police, you will have trouble. But here you are, claiming the waxwork model was stolen to star in an illusionary spectacular. The idea is so wild, I think I would take my chances and believe the authorities on this occasion. This is how the public at large views Scotland Yard, is it? Our own police force in Tokyo is not even 20 years old yet, is it? Perhaps we should view what's happened here in London as a measure of what may happen at home. Yes, like a Scotland Yard stick. I wonder how a policeman would feel listening to the way this speaks. Yeah, they're giving me a hint to listen to the policeman. Okay. I think... that I need to connect her with him, because that's the evidence.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious. To whose statements do you refer, counsel? If you could put down your corn for a moment, juror number 5. Oh, you mean me? You pointed out that it's wrong to make an accusation without evidence, but the accusation that the waxwork model was inside the second birdcage on the day in question is not without supporting evidence, as the defense demonstrated to the juror sitting beside you. Oh, is that right? Would it be fair to say you didn't follow the argument? I don't understand much beside Colonel Cobb, to be honest. Of course you don't. If I could interject here. Please do, sir. Now that this assertion of yours about the waxwork had been backed up by some solid evidence, it would be wrong of me as a man of science not to pursue the matter further. Oh, well, me too then. Sorry. If this brainy gentleman says he's right, then he must be. See? I wouldn't dream going against Colonel Cobb or anyone who's got stuff in between the ears. Okay, well, that'll do. Success! If you can call it that. Thank you, counsel, that'll do. As a result of the summation examination, the jury's overall leaning has changed. 2 jurors now call guilty, against 4 who call not guilty. Accordingly, the court has failed to reach consensus at this time, and the trial must continue. We did it. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruto. Another wonderful victory. Nice work of the despicable professor. Uses a body double for the victim in this quite extraordinary case. I must say, it's extremely hard to believe the assertion could possibly be true. However, it would appear that it does at least warrant investigation. It's the waxwork of the professor that links Mr. Drebber and Dr. Scythe. And if I'm convinced that there's special significance to that link, and I'm convinced there's I don't know what you're hoping to prove. I really don't. The truth, sir, by using evidence and testimony. If the court is to delve deeper into the alleged involvement of the waxwork in this case, then the prosecution calls for the owner of the model to be summoned as a witness. The owner? Madame Tuswells. I really thought Lord Van Zieks would object to this whole line of inquiry. Very well, I concur. Make arrangements for Madame Tuswells to appear as a witness with immediate effect. Listen carefully, my friend. Yes? You should know that you're on the brink of opening Pandora's box. Bring it on. The court shall now adjourn for 45 minutes. Wow, that's a long break. During that time, the prosecution will summon the new witness and prepare her for taking the stand. Are we summoning the coroner, too? Madame Tuswells, yes. I shall see to it at once, my lord. I think we should summon the coroner, too. Well, that's enough of that, I suppose. Are you ready to open Pandora's box, everybody? I am surprised that it's happening in episode 3. This is episode 3, right? Like, if we're not... Yeah. What is happening here? I did not realize that it was, going to be quite like this. Well, so, things are happening. Stay tuned for some crazy stuff next episode, because I think that things are really going to start picking up for this overarching story. Prepare for that next time, and in the opening of Pandora's box, as Van Zieks called it. So, I'll talk to you guys then.